The live show is about fun. It is about football. It is about Ohio State and the brotherhood of those Buckeyes. And we're going to pay tribute to a man who embodied all of that to start this show. We're going to laugh and we're going to talk about Penn State as this goes along. But the passing of Nick Mangold over the weekend, I think, has certainly struck a chord for people at this table. Maybe Justin Zwick specifically, Nicole Cox. I know you spent time with him as well. Brad, don't know how much time you spent around the Ohio State legend, but just a tragedy, a devastating turn of events. Justin, I know that you have spoken before on this show and others about sort of your welcome to college moment, and Nick Mangold was at the center of that.
Yeah, Nick, it's going to be tough. Larger-than-life guy. It's been, 20 years since we've been at Ohio State together. And, once, he went on to do all the good stuff he did in the NFL in New Jersey, he kind of just stayed out there and, really implemented himself into that community, which is the type of guy he is. So it doesn't, surprise me that's the way that went. But, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Back in 2018, we lost another teammate, Mike Kudla. And, I went and looked at that picture, and it's like, Mangold, Kudla, me, Doug, and two others. And it's just like, man, 2 out of the 6.
Yeah.
And that's just one picture he had, in my brother's apartment back in the day. But it's just hits you hard. 41 years old, his wife, young kids. We knew Jenny Bear back in the day. She was always around. They were very close. So it's really cool to see, their family. And, it's just so sad that those kids, lost somebody like Nick. He was just awesome. He never had a bad day. Wore his flip-flops everywhere. It'd be middle of the winter. He'd be walking to class.
Backwards hat.
Yeah, backwards hat. He, aviators on. He would have his flip-flops walking in the middle of the snow. He was just that kind of guy. Very smart. Just he was awesome. And, a center quarterback. You have a special, a bit more of a special relationship just because you're around that guy and you're touching him and, all that good stuff that comes with the, quarterback center exchanges and everything. But, he was a special person and, we lost a good one, which is kind of crazy because a couple of weeks ago, it just seemed like, we have more time.
Yeah.
We're going to figure this out.
Get him a kidney.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Figure this out. And, to wake up yesterday it was tough.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Justin. Just tough, Nicole. I think he's been on a few cruises for cancer. Is that true? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, he made him early, I think. Yeah, he was on there early.
I think it was before my time.
Yeah.
I just know of him through the guys, through AJ, Bobby, Justin. And, AJ talks about him a lot on the Pat McAfee show. And I think that's just how I knew of how great of a person he was. AJ's roommate in college. And it's just, you just hate to hear anything like that ever. So young, and just all the love that's been pouring out has been incredible. The Today Show, we had the Today Show on this morning working out, and they did a huge segment on him, and it was really special. Everybody was very emotional, and you just hate to hear things like this.
Yeah, it was, as Justin said, the last couple of weeks, it felt like there would be maybe a chance to turn that around and get it fixed. And I think about the start of the year before the Texas game, Jeremy Ruckert was on the sideline and he had a throwback Ohio State jersey on. So what are you wearing right there? Nick Mangold jersey. It's like even for, guys around your age, Brad, even if you didn't get to spend a ton of time around him, his reputation in the halls of the Woody, I think, certainly was living strongly.
Absolutely. I never got to meet him. I saw him once at the Woody. He was there with Bobby in the gym, and the way Justin described it was exactly how I saw him. He had his flip-flops on. I'm pretty sure it was in the middle of the winter. He was in the weight room lifting with Bobby. But you hear a lot about those guys. Coach Meyer used to talk about him a lot, especially because he was still in the league my early years at Ohio State. That was the end goal of what you wanted to embody, what the career he had at Ohio State, and then obviously how successful he was at the NFL. He was used a lot as the example of this is why you do what you do. This is the type of human you want to be here. This is what it means to be a Buckeye and part of the brotherhood. So it was always used as an example, especially in my early years at Ohio State.
Yeah. So don't know any other way to say it. Rest in peace to Nick Mangold. Are my sincere thoughts, prayers, heart goes out to his family, his friends, every Buckeye that he shared a teammate, a locker room with, the Jets, everybody else. I've never heard a negative word spoken about him. So his legacy will live on, and I hope that the family is able to pull through. And guys like you, Justin, are able to find some peace from this situation as well. So nothing easy about segueing away from that, but
good luck.
I think on Saturday at noon in the Horseshoe, there's got to be some level of tribute paid to Nick Mangold. I don't know what that will be. I know that Ryan Day will certainly be cooking something up, whether that's the number on the field, whether that's a helmet sticker. I don't know. We'll find out. Today's only Monday, and this thing happened pretty quickly, but the Buckeyes are going back to work, so we will talk about that on the live show that is powered by Tansky Power Sports and brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. And there will be nothing more that Ohio State can do than just go play really good offensive line against a good Penn State defense on Saturday, Jay-Z.
Yeah, it'd be nice to go out and have about 250 on the ground, as a little, tribute to Nick. But, coming off a bye week, big game coming into town, maybe not the big game we thought that we were going to get this, at the beginning of the year when, everybody was calling for Penn State to win the national championship, and this was going to be 1 versus 2, and, just the, all the build-up. But they're still Penn State. They're still a good program. They still have a lot of those guys that were on the team early in the year that gave them all that hype. So I know they're missing a quarterback, but they got a young guy out of Columbus who is going to fill in and try and make his mark, early in his career. So you just, a team like this, to me, is dangerous. Especially because we're going to look and say, all right, well, UCLA, Northwestern, all these losses leading up to this. It's just like, yeah, it might be easy to say, we're going to run these guys. But I think this is a proud program. I think this would be their Super Bowl, right? I mean, it always is a Super Bowl for anybody to play Ohio State, but, even more in a situation where they've lost 4 in a row and, just to really kind of get something going towards the end of the year, this would be huge for them. So they're going to pull out all the stops. We got to make sure we're coming in and, that Ryan's talked about it all year long of, it's us versus us. Yeah. Like, make sure we go out and we take care of business. All we got to do is make sure we have more points than them at the end of the game. And, I think that message all year long gets them ready for a game like this, if that makes sense.
It's strange, Brad, because you look at we spent the entire offseason. We knew this was going to be a big noon kickoff all along. It's supposed to be number 1 versus number 2 or a top 5 matchup. And here comes Penn State. They don't have James Franklin. They don't have Drew Auer. They don't have a win over a Power 4 opponent, and they're sitting tied for last in the Big Ten. And then you say all that, and at the same time, well, it's Penn State. They're still very talented. There was a reason everyone said that they were going to follow the Michigan and the Ohio State blueprint, and they bring back all these. They're still talented. I don't know how you can just fast forward past Saturday and assume that 3 touchdown spread for this matchup is fair, but I have a hard time wrapping my mind around it, having watched these two programs battle now for 14 years.
Yeah, kind of like Justin said, this is even more emphasis on them. This could be a highlight in their rough season, but I always look at the example of there's a lot of upperclassmen on that team that want to go to the league. There's probably a lot of guys that want to transfer depending on the coaching. If you go and play well against Ohio State, you go and try to lock up Jeremiah Smith, you go and try to run the ball on Ohio State, it looks really good for whatever you're trying to do in a couple months.
Yeah.
So I expect a lot of their players to have that kind of motivation. I think we're past the age where guys really throw it away. I mean, look at UCLA. They went on a little run. Guys had some fire. I think it's not – there's no true end of the season anymore. I think you can't really take anyone lightly, especially because they still have talent. You can't discredit that. Me personally, I want them to try to run the ball. I think they have really talented running backs, and I think it'd be a good test defending the run for that last game of the year against a team that does run the ball well. So I'd like to –
and not much else.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about all they do well,
yeah. I'd like for this to be a true challenge in that aspect. That's kind of how I'm looking at it, and I think that's how part of the Ohio State defense will look at it as well.
Nicole, has any part of the way Penn State season gone diminished your excitement for this matchup?
No, I mean, obviously we thought it was going to be bigger, but I'm always a little, I guess, wary when we come off.
That was
bye
the word I was
week.
going to use.
When we come off a bye week, I have 100% faith in our team. I just think that there's always some more surprises after a bye week. You just never know if people are coming in stronger or if they think they are, and then a play happens at the very beginning and it kind of makes everybody anxious.
Yeah.
So, but I, like Brad said, I think, I mean, I'm just so in love with our defense. I I just can't.
Hard not to be.
Matt Patricia spoke at the coaches show this past week, and just listening to him, I just wanted to hug him and be like, "You are just the greatest ever."
He's a big hugger. Have I mentioned that before? He loves it. Did you get a Matt Patricia hug?
Nice. I didn't, because he got up and I didn't want to walk in front of the camera, but he's incredible in what he's doing with this defense, and I'm excited to see. I really do think our guys, like you were saying about Coach Day, us against ourselves, just everybody staying in the right mindset, which I feel we have been fantastic at this year, and I have faith that we'll do it again this upcoming weekend.
And one other thing on the mindset is it's been great, but we also have a little bit of a. Man, we got Jim Nolles coming back to town here, which, it's like, so there may be, the game's not as huge or whatever, but there's still a little bit of a, we've had you circled, and we know what we know what you did last year. You left us, like we weren't who you wanted to coach, so we want to put it on you. So there's a little bit of that. I imagine, I would hope so anyways, going through the locker room this week.
It'd be weird if there wasn't.
Yeah.
But that will kick off November, which, what's that month for, Justin?
November is for contenders.
Okay, so that will be an adventure. 5 games in November for Ohio State. And if you're looking for your next adventure, you can head to Tansky Power Sports, your one-stop shop for ATVs, dirt bikes, golf carts, and more. Whether you're looking for speed, power, or versatility, Tansky Power Sports has something for everyone with the best brands and expert service. Visit Tansky Power Sports today at 2491 West Dublin Granville Road, or browse their huge selection online at TanskyPowersports.com. Tansky Power Sports, where the adventure begins. November's going to be a grind, Brad. You look at the schedule and it's like, yeah, you can rattle off that Penn State is right there. They're struggling. What Purdue is capable or not capable of. UCLA, Rutgers, and then at the end, you're playing 5 straight games when the weather's starting to turn a little bit. It's not going to be easy.
I look at it, it's everyone, there's a lot of current talk in college football about strength of schedules and issues like this, and I got in an argument last week. I was down south in a lot of SEC countries.
Oh boy.
No one goes through the gauntlet that is SEC football. And then I tried to.
Does that even count as SEC country where you were?
There was a lot of SEC fans there. I was in Austin, and it's interesting because I also got discredited. Oh, you were just a long snapper. You don't understand how it goes through. But it's interesting because all that conversation has just become exhausting because it doesn't matter in today's world. There's an expanded playoffs. It's always been about control your own destiny, and I think Coach Day does a really good job about that, especially more recently, kind of like the approach he's taking. So I look at it, each week is a new week. Our schedule is favorable, but I don't think that matters. That end of the game in November is going to be the big one, but we have 3 or 4 games before we get there.
Yeah,
4 games before we get there, and the biggest thing we can't do, especially against a Purdue, even UCLA, because they have some spark, is you can't get caught looking ahead.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, really big this week. The Jim Knowles aspect. Me personally, I would love to see our offense rip out some massive big plays on crucial third downs. Having been on,
does that ever happen before?
Having been on the other side of that in a couple of years of national championship competing years of my career, it'd be nice to kind of see it from the other point of view now, as a little get back action. But I think, it's the biggest thing is we can't get ahead of ourselves, especially as the weather turns. I was talking earlier with Birm about I would love to see, against Wisconsin, I want to see Julian throw the ball 40 times a game. Like, why not? The run game will open up, but then as the weather changes, as you play a team like Michigan at the end of the year, that run game needs to be there. So I'd like to see that slowly get ramped up as we go.
Nicole, I think we can all assume that Jim Knowles is going to get booed when he walks out of the tunnel at the Horseshoe. How would you respond? Because he also did, Brad mentioned we know where his deficiencies are, some of the games that he called that weren't perfect down the stretch, but he also produced the #1 defense in the country and helped Ohio State win a national championship last year. I think there's got to be, I don't know where to put it, some level of appreciation for what he did.
In my head, you guys, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to be so mean, but I just want to say to him, oh, thank you, because this worked out way better for us. In the
seemingly,
end, it really did. It's just, and at the time you're like, oh my gosh, he's leaving because we were looking so good. And now you're like, and it got even better. So thank you for leaving. I do think he's going to get booed because I don't know. I just felt like, how can you just turn away so quickly?
Yeah.
You were with these kids and you just were like, all right, I'm going for the money. And you never, I guess you should, I don't know. I go by the saying, you never leave happy for money, and but
Well, he's living
we
that right
have
now.
to-
I bet he's
Yep.
wishing.
Never leave
Yep.
for Happy Valley for money?
No.
Is that your philosophy?
I guess
Okay.
that could work too. But I don't know. It's just worked out so much better for us. And I do think what Justin said, I think these guys cannot wait to go show off how incredible they've been playing in the plays. And I wanted to say too, I was listening, to you guys, you and Birm, talk about just Heartline calling the plays. I'm anxious to see too. I feel like there are so many plays in the playbook that haven't been called that he's kind of saving
Yeah.
as these games progress. So I'm anxious to see what they have for Saturday.
Yeah, I wonder, Jay-Z, how much of that they'll actually dip into. Because I know that there's the notion of, Brad brought it up, a little bit of revenge and payback. And you know how to attack this guy. Ohio State, Ryan Day and Brian Hartline and everybody in that offensive staff, they should know just as much as Jim knows about them, they know about him. So but there's also this NFL-style philosophy of managing the snaps and managing possessions and getting to the end of the year. And it's like, will they actually empty the tank to prove a point against Penn State? I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't think empty it.
Yeah,
Tap into it.
I think they maybe tap
Just
into
one
it.
here or there.
I think we saw a glimpse of it against Wisconsin. Just we can do this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We can air this out, and you let him throw it 40 some times a game. I don't know. That's an interesting one. I don't know if they empty any clips, on this game. Just knowing like we still got 4 more to go in November, and then we really want to be hitting our strides. I think Ryan, and he's done a really good job of this all year, just slowly kind of bringing the guys along, right? And then it kind of surprised us when we went 8 of 8 on the first drive against Wisconsin. Like, whoa, what are we doing here? This doesn't look right. So it's just like I think he's just. They're figuring it out. If it's a nice day, I could see maybe letting Julian rip it, a little bit, just to see if he can continue to grow from that last one. But there is a part of him, and I think it's always there, just wanting to run the ball and control that clock. And if they can run it down Jim Knowles' throat, I think they'd be very happy doing so.
That's the part of me that I can't figure out, like which version of Ryan Day is going to win out, the angel on one shoulder or the devil on the other, because he's done a really good job, in my opinion, Brad, of managing this to get through the course of the year. He did that a year ago, and we can quibble about, what happened in the last week of the regular season forever, and we probably will, but they were healthy and they were ready to rock throughout those 4 games in the playoff, and I think he wants to duplicate that again. And that doesn't mean that you, like on the first Saturday of November, you can't go out and run 70 plays for the first time all year, but I don't know that that's the other part he's fighting. He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to give up January just to prove a point in November.
Yeah, I think they're doing a really good job of we only need to do what we need to do. And I think if we've seen anything since the end of last year and the offseason this year is Coach Day with the 2 versions on his shoulder seems to really be listening to the one of like, hey, let's just be controlled. Let's do this one. There was always the issues that got brought up of the ego of the run game against Michigan, and I really think he's moved on past that stuff, and I think you see it each week they go out. I don't think the airing it out against Wisconsin was like we can just do it. I think it was like, hey, this is the best scheme fit, and I think it's still we have an embarrassment of riches on the offense. We didn't have to pull out much to do that to Wisconsin, so I think they know they have this approach, but he seems to be a lot more calm and calculated, and it's okay if we're only running half the plays we used to run. We're doing well. The ball's moving. The defense, I mean, you have a defense like that, it makes it a lot easier. If this was 2020, 2021, it's a completely different situation because you have to run 70 plays a game because you need to score 40. You need to score 50. When you have the defense playing the way we do, I think that matters a ton. And just being fresh as you go to the end of the year, I know the big emphasis lately, I think the past 2 weeks, he's talked about younger receivers getting more action. We saw some young DBs getting in as well just because of injuries popping up, which I think is awesome because you get down the stretch, you need those guys at those skill positions to really step up as you get deep into the postseason with the new schedule. Yeah,
that's really an underrated, I think, subplot from the last couple of weeks is being able to hold out Lorenzo Styles Jr. To get him healthy, but also get Devin Sanchez that work at corner as you're trying to, build depth on the fly as you go throughout the season and also get super healthy on Tuesday, JG.
Tuesday for $3.
Appetizer Thursday.
Appetizer Thursday. The cheesy bacon curly fries.
Yes. You guys,
Spicy
fun
ranch
fact.
on the side.
So
Forget
good.
about it.
And fun fact, I was talking with our founders, and way back in the day at the very first Roosters, they used to have the potatoes and actually cut the potatoes on one of those machines to make them curly.
Spinning wheel?
I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, I'm imagining like the pencil sharpeners, it's like it was on the wall and you just put the potato in and it just made the curly fries. I was like, that'd be so cool if we could still do that now, but there's no way.
You'd have one job all day long.
I think you're trying to balance
strongest arm ever.
balance the freshness with being able to get them out to the table.
They're still fresh.
I'm not saying they're not, but
I know.
Straight off.
But
of
I wish I could have seen that. It was before my time. But
that's too
You need
bad.
to make one that makes them flat.
yeah.
And then you can just put out some chips, Nicole.
Oh, a little chip machine.
Don't you worry. We're this close to getting them back on the menu.
Oh, what?
Yep.
Oh my gosh! Look at Justin.
We've got a
Let's
whole
go.
team of people. Whole team
You
of
just
people.
you just
pushing
brought
for
my
it.
day back,
They're
Nicole.
the best people at Roosters are on it for you.
They are.
Oh, we are. I mean, it's close.
Oh,
It's
that's
close.
great to
Yeah.
hear.
I think you only brought that up because Eric's sitting over there.
Well, no, Eric knows. He's part of that
Eric's
team.
tired of having to bring chips for
Bringing
me all
four
the time.
We're all
trays of chips
pushing
in
for
for
it.
Justin.
He's like, I'm done with this. Just put them back on the menu.
All right, Saturday at noon in the Horseshoe, big noon kickoff. Ohio State is favored by 20.5 points. Nicole, what do we have for your score
They're
prediction?
favored by 20 and a
Nice.
half
You might want to
points.
redo that number.
20.5. Again, Penn State has not won against a Power 4 opponent all year. They're winless in the Big Ten. They're without their
With a
quarterback.
freshman quarterback.
James Franklin is begging
Okay,
for jobs on the
Let's
side of
go
the road.
34-7.
34-7. That's
That's
not what
way
you had
different
there.
than
Don't-
what you
don't
have
look
right
at it.
there.
Don't look at
Oh, I looked at it. I thought you were crazy.
When's the next
I hope it's not that.
Roosters Bowl giveaway?
One more week.
One more week.
Everybody register every day
Get on
for
there.
one more week, and we will pick the final winners next
Okay.
Monday.
Okay, get those final ballots in.
Mhm.
Election day is coming. Register every day at roosterswings.com. We are going to take a quick break in here. We're going to bring Birm in. Seems like he is in a fantastic mood. We'll check the vibes with him.
He's always in a good mood, guys.
Are you sure?
The Bengals
Well,
play
I
this
mean,
weekend, so he's
no.
not.
Positive Birm. That's what I call
Ooh,
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah. So we'll see how he's holding up today, and we'll keep talking about Ohio State and Penn State this weekend on the live show at Roosters, brought to you by Tansky Power Sports and Bryant Heating Cooley.
Hey, Buckeye fans! As the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, Roosters is kicking off an incredible giveaway you won't want to miss. This football season, we're giving away 12 ultimate Buckeye experiences. 3 drawings, 12 winners with prizes including tickets, sideline passes, and 3 trips to a Buckeye first-round postseason game. Go to roosterswings.com to register and see all the details. 3 drawings, 12 amazing prizes. Register today and every day. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
Precision engineering, rigorous attention to detail. A Bryant Evolution heating system is so well designed, it's as much of a joy to install as it is to use.
Good to go.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Cosby Heating and Cooling. Find them at cosbyhc.com.
Welcome back into the live show. Birm is here, and what is the vibe check? What a performance on Sunday.
You must be just in the hurt box right now.
Here's the thing. We're not going to – this isn't a Cincinnati Bengals show, but it's,
But it kind of is when
usually-
you first come
Usually
on.
it sets the
it
tone.
is
Yeah.
one of the worst and most embarrassing losses I've ever experienced as a Bengals fan. But then at the same time, like after the game, you see the clips from Rex Ryan talking about Nick, and so you're like, okay, and then Justin Fields going out talking about how difficult things have been for him. So I'm like, okay, if I get to –
If it was a day to lose to the
if there's
Jets,
a day to
that
lose
was
to
a
the
day
Jets,
to
it's
lose.
that day. Now, if just listening, man, if Zach Taylor could get fired, that'd be great. So if this all leads to that, then it's totally worth it. But again, it is what it is. It's a weird weekend when you watch football and the Buckeyes aren't playing, and like it's kind of a ugly.
You have nothing to make you happy over
just
the
kind of
weekend.
it was just kind of a slogging weekend of football. Like it wasn't really good ball by anybody this weekend, and so you watch teams and you see who wins games. The teams that find a way to win, like always, just find a way to win. And
Some
you
teams
start-
have help.
some teams get help. Like let's say that you are perfectly timing up a blitz on a freshman quarterback, and you cause a fumble in a moment of the game that probably would have changed the entire tenor of the afternoon.
Big moment.
And then all of a sudden the official waits till you recover the ball to throw a flag. So that happens occasionally, but other than that, like, you just watch it, and I don't know who's good other than, like, Ohio State is good, I think. I think Notre Dame is good, but they didn't really, they didn't play this weekend either. Alabama, I think, is good. But, like, who else is good?
I think A&M's
pretty good. So,
caught a little bit of them. That quarterback down there.
I think Oregon's good. I think Indiana's good. So there's, like, 6 teams in the country that you watch, and you're like, okay, that's actually something. I guess I'd put Miami there because I think their defensive line's really good. But
you got to stop with that.
I had your respect until the Miami.
Their defensive line is good. So, like, they can be a game changer.
He's also been saying that Texas is going to go to the playoffs. So
2 losses, man. They're gonna.
It should have been.
Once they
win. It wasn't, but it should have been.
Who they beat next week? They beat Vandy next week, probably, or someone. Who do they take care of?
They got a quarterback question mark right now, though.
That's right.
Is it? I mean,
they might be better off.
Does it matter? I think it's fascinating. It was nice to sit back for a weekend and, like, see the NFL reports coming out about Steve Sarkisian instead of Ryan Day for once. So that was nice. But
he needs to get out of there.
He should leave.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can go to the NFL and make $6 million as an offensive coordinator like Chip Kelly is, and not have to deal with everything that Texas is about, which has been one of the worst programs in the country over the last 20 years because of booster involvement, like, I'd probably dip.
Well, I think the point is well made, Byrne, that you go through every Saturday in college football, and sometimes maybe we don't appreciate that enough for Ohio State, that they do find a way to win week after week after week after week, and sometimes we the run
the spread,
cover the teams to cover, and you say, well, they couldn't they have scored 50 in this game? Like, why didn't they blow out every opponent? Like, winning is hard, and I'm not saying that as a justification. I'm just saying it as an appreciation that what they're doing is unheard of, and every other program in the country would gladly trade places with Ohio State and take some of the nitpicking that they get along the way.
Yes.
Yeah, nitpicking is all we can do here.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, like I did radio last week, and somebody, maybe a Barstool, it's boring being an Ohio State fan. Like, no, it's not. Like, no. And you don't know Ohio State fans because nobody's really, really that happy.
Yeah. I've yet to meet a bored Ohio State fan.
Exactly. Like, they're always mad about something.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. But
we talk about Jim Knowles getting booed coming in. Like, we boot for way less at Ohio Stadium. We've been up 3 scores, and we sent out the punt team on 4th and short. We've been booed. Like, it's
a different dynamic. I just don't think people understand, like, oh, it must just be boring being Ohio State. Like, no, they create things.
I think that's the difference, though, between, like, the outside perception of what Ohio State is and the people who are actually watching it and supporting it and living it every day. Like, I don't know that there's a bigger disconnect between the way that national media views Ohio State and the way that Ohio State fans view Ohio State. I don't think that gap is bigger for any fan base in the country. Like, I think it's just people. I understand his point. Like, all they ever do is win. Like, why is it? And that could get boring, but it doesn't, because
there's always something you could do better.
I was telling you, like, there's a new Dr. Pepper commercial. I was telling Brad before we started recording today, like, where the angry mob is descending on the coach's house, and they're fire your coach, and the coach walks out and he's like, what did I do? And he's like, you only won by 30. And, like, that's that.
Did he have a beard on?
I know.
And a, like, low profile black hat on?
Yeah, I didn't see that. It's just that's the expectation. But, here you go with Penn State, and Zach and I talked about it. Zach Bourne and I talked about it on the Monday morning edition of The Beat. Like, this feels like a game where you can go, well, but then the week after you got Purdue, then you got UCLA, then Rutgers. Like, if you can't get up for this one with that 3-game stretch after it, then Ryan Day and the staff aren't doing their job, because Penn State is coming in obviously wounded, obviously on the verge of falling apart, but it's Ohio State and Penn State. Like, this game is going to be a fight.
Well, it's coming off of an off week as well, so it
for both teams, right?
And Ryan Day, I think, especially, Brad knows what's coming. He talked about 2 things: there's the run game and getting the special teams improved. When you look in that area, that is your expertise.
Yes.
How would you grade it through 7 games, and what can be improved?
So we'll start with the positives.
Okay.
I was in the stands when we did the throwback punt return.
Okay, that is the one positive.
I've been a part of some planned fakes and planned things. I was very happy to see that one, because I honestly didn't think we had it in us to make a move, especially in a game where
It didn't matter.
You didn't need to do it, but
yeah.
I think also my argument is usually that's when you should do that. Is when you don't need to do it because then it just keeps everyone honest. So that's been great to see. Obviously, I'm sure people want to talk about the punting situation. Obviously, having been heavily involved in our punt game, I will say it needs to be better, but I will give Joe some breaks. Is my current issue that I've kind of always had with our punt team and the way we approach punt is if you look at operation time, snap to kick, we're usually one of the fastest in the countries, and we kind of go in the conservative side of we just want to get the ball out, where you see a lot of other teams, especially guys that have the Australians, do the deep roll where you create a longer operation time to give artificial hang time, get the coverage chance. We kind of always go into like, hey, let's just get it out. It's kind of how Coach Days mentioned it recently. It's like, hey, it's getting the job done. It's low risk, low reward is kind of our approach to punting because obviously we know the stats of a blocked punt can do a lot.
They've given up like 3 punt return
Yeah,
yards.
that's the whole
punt
thing. So
return
at the end
yards.
of the day, like we can sit here and it's like, yeah, Joe's leg's not the 60-yard bomb. But also if you look at it, I think what they're asking him to do is if you look at every time he's catching it, taking one step and kicking it. The plan is, hey, get it out. Get it away from the returner usually, or if you do, it's to the returner when we have coverage down there. So I think a lot of fans don't understand the scheme approach.
It's almost like you're backed up, just get the ball out.
Yeah, it's one of those no matter where the field, like we'll take the 40-yard net or the no return yards, no block, no risk, and especially usually teams know they can't return the ball on us because we have so many athletes, so they will try to go after that punt block, especially because it does shift the tide of a game. So that's the. I'll speak up for on behalf of the.
There has
That's
been
good,
a conversation with people asking,
they get it out real quick,
asking why Nick McCarty's not out there. And it's like I looked at that last week and I was like, I was kind of stunned to see it. I knew that it was real. Like 3 punt return yards in 7 games. Now they only punted it 18 times, but that's the part where you have to eliminate the risk because Ohio State isn't going to need to punt, and they just need to get their defense on the field.
Yeah, and if it's like you can change the scheme, give Joe. Let him take 3 steps like normally does. Let him roll, and you get more steps out of that, and you can generate more power on the punt. You can do that, but, okay, so you gain 5 to 10 yards, but then the risk of everything else goes up, and it's one of those things, I think, when Coach Day, talked about it a week or 2 weeks ago, he goes, he's happy with it. It's doing what it needs to do, and I think at the end of the day, it's how greedy do you want to get with things, especially with it's not you haven't been burned yet. I don't think a burn's going to happen because we do everything really well.
I think one of the issues is that when you need a punt, and then the Wisconsin punt happens, and it's 30, or was it Illinois? So then at the end of the half, and then it's all of a sudden it's a 31-yard punt. You're like, okay, like you're out there for one reason, and it's to catch it and punt it and get it 43 yards and be done. I don't know enough about special teams to ask this question with any sense of what your answer might be, but like, how hard is it to teach someone to get the ball off their foot faster? Because ultimately the question about Nick McClarty is not about can he. Yeah, he might shank one, but Joe might shank one. People shank ones, but it's about can he get it off his foot without it getting blocked? Yeah. Like how do you teach someone to be faster getting the ball off their foot?
So I think the biggest thing is I think the punting does need to be better, especially in those like when you do have that. Okay, all these things are stacked against you. You still need to do better than 31 yards. There's no excusing that. But I think the biggest thing that Joe does really well is he's very fluid back there, and I think that's an issue with Nick is he's didn't have the background that Joe did. I mean, they both come from Australia, but one thing that Joe does really well is just he's quick and fluid, and it's one of those, the faster the rush is and the faster you have to get it off, it just compounds all those mistakes, and if your tendency is to miss-hit the ball, if you try to speed it up, you're only going to increase that risk.
Well, that's interesting. That makes me feel better about our punt game. So thank you for that.
Berm
because
doesn't golf, so I can't use it
I golf.
Do you golf?
Yeah.
Not very well.
Not often.
If I told you to go and rush through everything to go hit a golf ball,
sure,
chances are the odds of a shank is going to happen.
No, is that what happens to me? I need to slow down.
Yeah. We got to stop saying that word.
Shankopotamus.
Yeah.
It's contagious. And Jay-Z, the run game part that you mentioned, I
it could look different this week.
Birm is predicting that it's going to happen, that Josh Padilla will be out there at right guard. It seems like that conversation was ramping up last week. We'll see if that's what Tyler Bone and Ryan Day elect to do, but feels like it has to happen at some point to give him a full-time look.
Yes. I don't know if Penn State's the one you want to. I mean, coming out of a bye, I guess is the right time to do it, right? Because you could be repping, and now we're going into game week. And I guess maybe it's a team that we do that against. But you got enough games here coming up in November where I think we're going to have a real good feel for what we want to do there by this, 2 2 games to go in November.
How
Right?
much?
We have time, I guess, is my point. So it's not maybe necessarily we got to have him start and play the entire game this week, but they've been rotating him. Maybe he gets some more time, and maybe they get a better feel for, all right, he's going to be in there for an entire half this week.
Right.
That sort of thing. But there's been a lot of smoke around that, and for good reason, because we've not been playing well at that position. And, I think it's time to see some fresh blood and just see what happens to Luke Montgomery last year. Threw him in the game. Oh, look, he ended up being pretty good. So, there's some gamers, and then get in there. And, once they feel that confidence of being the starter, maybe that helps them, move on.
Luke got put in there in the playoff because he had to. And I think there's a major difference between saying, oh, crap, we're now forced to play someone. Like, let's just
fair.
see it. If everyone's healthy, we all see the change in efficiency over when Padilla's been in the game. Like, it's better to choose that than to be forced to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that sets up this weekend. Let me ask you guys this. How much can a coach change a scheme or create something new in 1 week off? Because obviously the Jim Knowles conversation is the most fascinating piece of this entire weekend against Penn State. It is the storyline that everyone's going to talk about from here until the game ends. But Ohio State knows Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles knows Ohio State. How much can you actually add new wrinkles in a week that are like that you feel comfortable in, that you feel like we can do this without actually shooting ourselves in the foot?
I'll start with, I think it being Ohio State is everyone on that team is expected to be an NFL player at some point, and all those coaches are expected to be at that level. So I think there is a sense that you need to be able to do that. Now, how well it gets executed is probably the big thing, but that's what I would say is, hey, like in the NFL and at high-level programs, you should be able to have that. You do everything with the background all off season, and then implementing a new scheme should not be the hardest thing, as long as it's got to be done well by the coaches and the players have to be professionals about it and really absorb it quickly. But when you have the 2 weeks of the bye, I think that's huge.
Yeah, the bye helps. I think I remember back like Iowa was a team where it's like we'd get to Iowa week and we knew the coverage they were going to run, we knew where to attack them, so like we would shift the play calling to kind of like, all right, we want to use Anthony Gonzalez a lot here in the slot because they're going to keep a linebacker on him. Like they don't ever put a nickel guy in, that sort of thing. So I think when you have situations like that going against the defense, like, this is what we want to attack, you probably have a player or two that can get you to where you want to be anyways. But, we're going to do this, but with this wrinkle. And these guys can pick that stuff up. They're so smart with just all the different iPads and everything else they have on the field now. I mean, you can really like, all right, you could do it in the middle of a game almost.
Right.
Hey, this is what they're giving us. You see this? It was almost like Emeka in the championship. They're looking at that. He's like, hey, he's inside here. We got to run a go ball here. Later in the game, we see that. So they can do this stuff on the fly, as long as it's not like a 10, 15 plays of like, here's all new stuff, but it's like, here's this wrinkle. We're going to use this at some point in time. They can get that in a week easy.
And that does seem to be the case right now with what Ohio State's done. It's like Ryan Day has said, well, we're not, scheming this up specifically to generate the explosives in the run game. Like there's so much of the playbook that it feels like Ryan Day and Brian Hartline haven't even got to yet. It's like, it's not as if they have to install a new playbook. They just have barely.
They just keep working on things, and then they start pulling them out. All right, we're going to use this here now this week. We've been working on it. We feel really good about it. We want to get this on film because we're playing so-and-so in a couple of weeks, and we just want them to see this because we did this earlier. I mean, there's a lot of that, chess game going on of this is what we self-scouted ourselves in the bye week. This is what we know everybody else is seeing. So now we want to try to switch things up and, have some kind of a surprise here, in November.
I just think it's interesting going into this game because Penn State is what Penn State is, but obviously you have coaching changes. You have now a new quarterback. You have, stuff that you really haven't seen before. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how much Jim Knowles, considering how convoluted and complicated his defense is, how much can you actually add that Ohio State, who you coached for 3 years, isn't familiar with? Like that's like, to me, the underlying big question of the week. And I don't
feels like James Laurinaitis and Matt Guerreri and Tim Walton and Larry Johnson would all have a pretty good idea of what Jim Knowles wants to do. So, and Ryan Day had to scheme again. Watch it. Like we saw him get way more involved as the CEO of the program. I think it's more of an advantage for Ohio State than vice versa. We always, I think, look at it through that prism. It's like, oh, well, this person knows this about Ohio State, and you got to be on alert for that. And I think it's probably much more difficult to be in Jim Knowles' shoes this week.
Yeah, because I will say, too, over my career in the locker room, I'm not obviously as a specialist, I wasn't in the offensive and defensive rooms, but there's levels to the playbook and levels to our scheme on offense. And there'd be weeks where we're going to, like the Iowa example. It's like, we know this defense does this tendency.
Mm-hmm.
The chatter in the locker room amongst the team is so-and-so's going to have a big game. Like whether it was a running back, whether it was a specific receiver. Like I can't remember exactly what game, but there was one game, like someone told me on a Wednesday, like, hey, Chris Olave, like the weakness is over the top. Like that's where we're going to exploit. And that's what happens. Like they know what's going in. So they'll change the emphasis of the offense of the scheme. And obviously I don't think we could have had a deeper offense as we do this year in terms of there's a lot of guys to do that. My interest, if we, not to get away from this with Jim Knowles, but it's the run game is, as you unfold, trying to change the O-line a little bit. We have 4 backs that have been getting the ball. As you get deeper into the year, I go back to the 2020 year, is Trey Sermon didn't come on to the last couple games. It's, do we get into that situation again where we finally figure it out?
Once you start narrowing
at the end, it's, how does that
because
align?
that was Trey, that was Master, that was Mayan. That's trying to just fit everyone into the offense. And it's like, maybe this isn't what the offense actually needs. So
it doesn't seem like that's practical either to me, Jay-Z, to rotate through 4 backs, especially in a world where Ohio State is cutting down on the number of snaps in a game.
Well, and especially when you want to get those guys in like, you just don't get a feel for the game. I feel like as a running back, if you're not in there, pass protecting, carrying the rock, and you're just rotating. I think it's tough. So, I was surprised to see Isaiah West come on last week because we, I guess, hadn't really seen. We saw him early against Grambling maybe, and then it was like, oh, well, hey, this looks a little bit different too. So it's a good problem to have. But yeah, I think if you could narrow down, this month into like, these are our 2 guys, and then if something were to happen, we feel really good about everybody else, but you only have so much to go around.
That makes me think of a guy like Chris Olave, because when you were on the team, the 2018 team, right? How did, when Chris started to really come on at the end of the year, obviously you have veterans, you have Johnny, you have Paris, you have Terry, you've got all these, and then it's like, well, now we have to find room for this guy. Like, is it, as a player in that situation, are you watching it going, well, he's too good for us to stop this? Or how do you respond? Is it like, oh, my buddies here need more reps?
Yeah, I mean, the Chris Olave, that's probably, honestly, you just leveled up my example better with that. That game gives the truth. Chris was one of those guys, and you see it with a lot of these young guys. I'm sure that's what happened with Bo Jackson, is you see it day 1 of fall camp. Yeah. Chris, like Terry McLaurin, like day 3 of fall camp, like brought Chris in front of him. He was like, hey, this guy is the real deal. Like, you saw it all year long, and then back with the Urban Meyer days is you really earned your place on special teams. Chris was on every special teams. He was our main guy to block punts. Obviously, he blocked a punt that game. But then we we went into that game, of like, hey, this is, we were favored. Like, we weren't favored. We were supposed to lose. There was their big run or whatever. And all of a sudden, they had no answer for this little tiny freshman we had. And it worked out perfectly. But it's like, you knew, like, all year long, it was building to that. And it's one of those things, like you said, like, when there's a guy that's that good, you can't stop it.
And there's no point in keeping him on the bench. I mean, you got to let him go out there and make an impact. And
especially now in a world where you can play 9 games in redshirt.
Well, the rules don't really matter. But you have 4 more games until you're going to the big house. Like, you're going to have to decide not just how you want to run the ball, but who's going to do it. Like, that's
and you want to get them the experience of playing Big Ten games and really grinding out there, and
getting hit in November, it hurts a lot more than getting hit in September.
That's right.
Seems like it does. All right, what's going to happen on Saturday at noon? What's the score going to be, Birm?
Ohio State's going to win. Give me 31 for Ohio State to 10 for Penn State.
All right.
I'm really fascinated by Ethan Grunkmeyer coming home into Columbus, and we just don't know what they're going to do. I've talked to people over the last couple of days, and you look at the stats against Iowa, and he was like 8 of 20 for 95 yards, 2 picks, no touchdowns, and you're like, ugh. But again, I don't know if it's the coaches down the street playing mind games with themselves or trying to convince other people. They're like, he actually played really well against Iowa. They could have won that game. He did enough.
Well, they could have won the game.
Yeah, I'm like, well,
they've had practice at it after going against Wisconsin last week. Like, we talk up the opponent as much as we can.
I mean, I don't know ostensibly why his return to Ohio State should look any different than Drew Allers did a couple of years ago, but I guess we'll see.
Jay-Z?
I'm going 38-10.
38-10.
Yeah, I think we get it done. I don't think they can stop us.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be on the field offensively enough. I think we'll just wear them down and do what we do.
They might be on the field, I don't know, slightly more than they were against Wisconsin. That was about as crazy as you're ever going to see.
Yeah, that's true.
3 outs and total snaps. Brad, what do you think is going to happen this weekend?
I got 31-3.
31-3. Yeah, I'm right in the same ballpark as all you guys. I think it's going to be 31-6. We'll see. Looking forward to it. It is a big noon kickoff.
Yes, sir.
It is the most exciting matchup.
The blackout at noon.
Yeah. A blackout at noon with Ohio State wearing regular uniforms at noon on a sunny day. 53 or 54 degrees
There's
is the high temp.
Cantori.
Supposed to be chilly in the morning, but it's supposed to be, a little blustery.
Beautiful
10 to 15 mile an hour winds. Should be a good day for football.
Can't wait. It makes so much sense for a big noon kickoff to have this be the number one game in all of America. And as you said,
well, this is preseason number 2 versus number 3.
Yeah.
This is a
The
huge
preseason
game.
polls matter according to half the country.
Yeah, this game is huge 3 months ago.
which was it the coaches poll?
Wish I'd have sold my tickets then.
Yeah.
I mean, kudos to all of you believers out there in James Franklin. I've been trying to tell you for a long time that it wasn't going to happen. We'll see what the Nittany Lions can cook up in their last gasp Super Bowl to try and get into bowl contention.
Yeah, contention.
Because that is
Not playoff.
a bit of a
bowl.
stretch for them at this point. Ohio State is favored by 3 touchdowns. Still looking forward to getting back out there. It's been a long time since we've been in the Horseshoe. Next Monday, we'll be right back in here at the new, refurbished, better than ever Olentangy River Roosters location. You can swing by it tomorrow. It is open for the public, by the way.
$3. Make it holla.
And it is cheesy bacon curly fries. You don't want to miss it. $3. Or you can come by later today. It's 99-cent boneless wings at this location as well. So all kinds of great deals, and it'll be open before kickoff on Saturday morning. Thank you to Nicole Cox. Thanks to the team at Roosters. Thank you to Tansky Power Sports and Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. That's Justin Zwick, Brad Robinson, Jeremy Birmingham. I'm Austin Ward. Have a great week. We'll see you next time for the live show.